Yesterday, I ranked all the Marvel movies from the Infinity Saga on a tier list. However, today, I will be ranking every single Marvel movie and show from the multiverse saga on that same tier list. So, unlike the last show, there's actually going to be six tiers this time. Starting off with amazing. You know this tier, there's basically no flaws. This is an amazing movie or show. Then great. They all have the same tiers as amazing, but still great. Then pretty good. Maybe a couple flaws here and there, but still pretty good. Fun but flawed. These movies slash shows are fun. They're fun to watch. They can be enjoyed. However, they have some good flaws. They're bad. These movies are just bad. And nobody cares. This series is gonna be used. I did not need to make this for the Infinity Saga, which just goes to show you how much Marvel declined since then. However, now let's start off with WandaVision. Okay, I gotta be honest with you, the Multiverse Saga actually started off on a pretty high note. Honestly though, WandaVision, it was the first show Marvel introduced outside of like the stuff that really wasn't MCU, like Agent Carter or that show about S.H.I.E.L.D. and Phil Coulson being live Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. However, and honestly though, they actually started off pretty good. WandaVision is actually the only show that I watched every episode of twice. Not even once, like twice. I love this show, okay? This show, I really loved how, at the beginning, it kind of has a plot where, like, at the beginning, it doesn't really feel like a Marvel show, because it feels like your average just show, like, they have it, like, just be Wanda and Vision living out their ordinary life. It's only at, like, episode 3, like, they start to, like, realize the audience always it's like a fake reality, and they have all that plot points going along. It's a pretty interesting journey. I will say, though, a big reason that a lot of people like it, at least a reason that brings down the show for a lot of people, is that Wanda isn't treated as much an antagonist as she should be in this movie, because, you know, she kind of enslaved all these people in Westview. However, to give the writers of this movie credit, she didn't really know she was doing that. And actually, when she finds out, she actually opens the hex to let them free, bringing her pain in the process. It's only when her family starts to disintegrate that she stops doing it. So it does seem to actually care for the people of Westview, and doesn't actually care about, like, torturing them. So I guess I can give the writers of this show some props. So I don't think Wanda is as bad of a character as people think she is in this. However, she's still not in the greatest persona, and this movie does kind of start off to be like an absolute villain in Multiverse of Madness, which I'll get into later. Honestly though, I don't think you like this kind of show. It is a pretty fun show. I love the sword characters. WandaVision, or both WandaVision, what do you want from them? And although people, and even me, I suffer from this, people call it post-Endgame syndrome, where basically everyone thought, like, the finale is going to be some big thing with the new Thanos-level threat. Honestly, though, this is just a show about Wanda and Vision. And while I do agree that showing the Quicksilver from Fox, making us think there's going to be some crossover, only to have him be a guy called Ralph Boner was kind of an insult. That's the only thing dragging down the show. That's otherwise a pretty amazing show. So, amazing it goes. I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't really watch this show. I watched, like, the first few scenes, and I decided, this show's boring. I'm done. Yeah. So, I only watched, like, the first bit of, like, the first episode. So, I can't really give a good review on this. However, judging by what other people said, the finale kind of showed. I did get to time to see, like, that woman who was, like, a terrorist. Apparently they paint her in a good light at the end and showed a senator as, like, being the bad guy and people that like that. I really can't review this, to be honest, so maybe I should actually have another two. Never watched. There isn't really too many that I haven't watched. I watched basically all these. However, there are still a couple that I haven't watched, so. Really, though, this is the only one. There's only like 2 shows, this and Miss Marvel, are really the only 2 shows that actually matter that I haven't watched. Really, this and Miss Marvel. I actually watched the first episode, thought it was good, but I just never really felt like watching it again. Partly because I never really cared about Miss Marvel, to be honest. But yeah, these are 2 I haven't really watched. What if? This isn't even an MCU project. I'm just putting it here because people would get so mad if I didn't talk about it. Of course I didn't watch this. Why would I watch this? This isn't even MCU. I mean, maybe it would be a cool thing diving into other universes. However, personally, the thought of watching some like animated other universes that nobody even knew about until now, kind of, and especially since the what if scenarios aren't really anything anyone cared about, like what if Peggy became a super soldier and all that. It didn't like talk about it didn't really go over any scenarios that people actually wanted to know, like what would happen if they didn't kill Thanos, what would happen if the other half got dusted out of Tony Stark and Black Widow half. But no, they just covered zombies and Captain Carter. Man, nobody really cares. Now we got Loki, Season 1 and Season 2, because there's only one Loki thing in this tier list template that I'm using. Loki, the 2 seasons. First off, this show is absolutely peak. This show might be better than WandaVision. It's honestly part of the reason I didn't this WandaVision is the only show I rewatched is partly because I don't have the attention span to watch 6 whole episodes of something I already watched. I mean, it's just so high drama, it's kind of hard to watch more than once, honestly. Though this show is absolutely peak. Honestly, though, it's really with every episode. Season 1 was absolutely amazing. It was a great build-up to what happens in Season 2. And Season 2 was absolutely peak. Honestly, though, I don't think many people could argue with my placing this in amazing. I actually like WandaVision a little bit more. Maybe they're about equal. But both these shows are absolutely peak. These are peak multiverse saga content. Peak. Okay. Honestly, though, I tried. I haven't really finished watching Black Widow since I saw it in theaters. I liked it when I saw it in theaters initially. This is actually the first Marvel movie I saw in theaters because I got into the MCU in like 2020 because of COVID. We were staying at home, and I decided let's watch the MCU because why not? And yeah, this is the only. So because of that, the Infinity Saga was already completed when I started watching it. This was the first movie I saw in theaters for Marvel, and I liked it. However, I tried to rewatch it like a couple weeks ago when I was on that cruise. I tried. I told you about it in one of my videos. You probably didn't know about that, but I told you I went on a cruise recently, and I tried to rewatch this on that cruise because this movie is actually free on the TV. And honestly, I only got like halfway until I was like, and then until I had to go to bed. And when I woke up, I was like, wait a sec. I admit I was actually bored during a lot of the first half, which is why after I just left eventually because I was pretty bored during that first half. Honestly, this is kind of a boring movie, to be honest with you. Maybe the climax is more fun, it probably is, but seriously though, this movie's plot is just so slow, so boring, and that's exactly why I didn't like Civil War. Dude, this movie is just so boring. That's all I can say. I know there are other reasons why people don't like this movie. I was just bored while watching this. Am I the only one who's just like generally completely bored watching this movie? The plot, I don't know. I don't even remember the plot of this movie. This movie is just, when I think of good MCU content, I don't think of Black Widow. And as much as I like Scarlett Johansson enough, I mean, I'm not a huge Scarlett Johansson fan like I am like Tony Shalhoub, Steve Carell. I do like her enough, and I like Black Widow. However, this movie's so boring. Yeah, that's who it goes. Sorry, Black Widow. Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings. I saw this account on Disney Plus, and it has Awkwafina. Yeah, it had Awkwafina before she became desperately overused. This is one of the first movies to have her that I watched, and she was alright. Honestly, though, the plot of this movie, I still remember it. I remember the dad, who I didn't even notice at the time was even the Mandarin from who that Trevor Slattery guy's pretending to be. And honestly, though, it was a pretty cool movie. The whole dragon thing, his wife, the dragon coming out, I liked all that. The final battle was really fun, and I kind of liked the intense chance of just having an Awkwafina character just shoot and, like, it actually hit, which was somewhat realistic. Like, bro, it was unrealistic, but I don't even care because the rest of the movie, it was just a matter of skill. And honestly, fine by me. Not to mention the overall rest of the stuff. It was actually a pretty fun movie. I liked most of it. The whole damn time, like I'm trying to convince him that his wife was dead and all that stuff. It was overall a pretty fun movie. All the stuff with the Ten Rings and all that, which I was Slattery, his pig, all that like stuff. It was a pretty fun movie. I haven't watched in a while. I do remember the overall plot with the Ten Rings and all that. The dragon, them fighting the dragon, Awkwafina being the one to kill him by just being able to shoot him. Honestly, it was a pretty good movie. Maybe even great. Next up, okay, another movie. I don't think this movie was as boring as Black Widow. there is some fun to be had watching this movie. However, and I know I'm not the only one who thinks this way, because this was actually a big thing problem that people had with this movie. It's just kind of a what's going on, I'm kind of bored type movie, really. Now, I do like that, unlike most Marvel content, it's like fight, story, but they aren't really. This movie's like so philosophical. This movie just loves to go with like the philosophical questions of life. I mean, fair enough, I guess. The twists are decent, and some of them aren't even so philosophical, like with Icarus and going into the sun and all that. It was I mean, there was fun to be found watching this movie. However, it's just so boring at times. It has so many flaws. Honestly, it's a deeply flawed movie. It's just so boring at times. A lot of times you're just wondering what the heck's going on. There's so many plot points, and it also sets up Thanos as being right, kind of. And Matt did a whole video on that, but honestly, it is a pretty good. It's. Oh, sorry for that, Tyson, but I want to call it a pretty good movie because it has a lot of flaws, but it's alright, fun but flawed. Okay, next up is Hawkeye. I watched this once when it came out, and honestly, I liked it. I like the twist of her mom being associated with Kingpin. I actually found that kind of unique, honestly. I kind of, like, you always see in these stories, like, I know I'm being kind of specific with the plot of this, not being so overall, like I was with, like, Shang-Chi and Eternals, but I just gotta say, though, that was just a part that I really liked, because you always hear these stories about, like, the mom trying to dissuade the girl from a venture, and this is just such a unique way to do it, having the woman be doing all that, partly because the mom doing all that, and I think even mainly because she's affiliated with Kingpin and literally helping him. Also, the twist that it was Kingpin. Now, I admit, when I watched this, when the reveal happened that the main bad guy was Kingpin, honestly, I was like, okay, why is this guy important? Because I did not know who Kingpin was when I watched this show. It was only after I watched the videos about that episode that I was like, okay, this guy's kind of a big deal. Yeah, I mean, that was actually the cool part. Besides, the overall plot, I love Yelena Belova. Honestly, she was the best part of Black Widow. She was the most entertaining part of that movie, which I know doesn't really have to say a whole lot because that was the most boring movie ever, but I mean, she actually stole the show in both this and Hawkeye. And overall, the overall plot, there's a lot of fun to be had watching this show. Okay, I admit, of all the shows, this is one that nobody really hates. They just, like, don't really like that much. I don't think I would really hate. I mean, maybe some people. This is one of the more unpopular shows, but it's not like She-Hulk was unpopular, but it's like kind of unpopular. And I do admit it probably does have some flaws. I'm not saying this is a flawless show because it's not, but it's a pretty good show, pretty good. Which I know is an unpopular opinion, but I just don't really hate Hawkeye that much. Really, I actually like Hawkeye. Next up is, oh yeah, honestly though, I admit, I didn't really watch any of the, like, non-Marvel Spider-Man movies until after this, but I still watched a lot of Spider-Man scenes. I knew who all the people were, I knew who all the villains were, so I was still pretty psyched out to see them all, because I still watched a lot of clips of them on YouTube, because I liked watching Marvel clips back in the day, and I still kind of do. I liked watching Marvel clips. And yeah, so I still knew who all the people were, and I was still pretty psyched out to see them. And seeing the old Spider-Man, that was just fun. And the fact that people say this is like a completely fan service built movie, and I wasn't even a huge fan of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, and I watched this, and I still loved it. I love how this really, like, when it comes to Tom Holland's Peter, they don't really show him having a whole lot of troubles. His aunt's healthy. Oh, he definitely struggled with Uncle Ben. We don't see it, so we don't really resonate with his sadness that much because he's already kind of, like, processed all that by the time you first see him. He's already processed his old dad. And, he has a lot of good going on in his life. His bully's really that threatening. He doesn't even have that much romantic conflict with MJ. At least not compared to, like, what happened with the other two and their romantic interests. So it was really nice seeing him actually struggle, having what's her name, that woman die. What's her name? Yeah, Aunt May. We actually got to see it, so like really got to feel bad for this guy and have him really go over what's like to be like, have some problems in his life. And besides, it really makes it like they really show us like Spider-Man, like really, it's a pretty fun thing. And showing all the villains getting killed and having some redeeming, even if he only really helped two of them, that being Green Goblin and what's his name, that other guy, Electro. he only helped those two. It was still cool seeing all of them kind of get redeemed at the end, signifying off their fates, and having to actually maybe be able to go live decent lives. This movie is honestly amazing. It's a pretty big spectacle movie. Everything's fun, and I love how at the end Peter that makes the biggest sacrifice of all, literally sacrificing his own personal life for the universe. Basically all of his life, all of his friends, all his loved ones. Honestly, this is truly an amazing movie. Okay, I don't like it about as much as it shows. Amazing tier. Next up, I should really not go slow. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Honestly, though, I want to watch this, though. I don't know. It's just when this came out, first off, they didn't. I did kind of know it was out, though at the same time, I just never really had the urge to watch this, to be honest. I don't know. I just never really had the urge to watch it. I probably should watch the Holiday Special, to be honest. It's probably pretty good. It is probably a pretty good movie. I guess, no, this is a movie. It probably is a pretty good movie, honestly. However, I just never really had a chance to watch it. I probably will. You know what? I will next weekend. I will. Maybe, I will tomorrow. Tomorrow when I get back from school, I'll watch this. Because I'm back at school. Yeah. Tomorrow is the beginning of my second week of school. So that's cool. Today's Labor Day, so I'm off today. But yeah. Honestly, this movie is probably pretty good, but I haven't watched it, so there we go. Now we got Moon Knight. This show is pretty good. Well, people are kind of like 50-50 on this show. Some people like it, some people kind of don't. I like it. It's not like a peak material or anything, but it's a pretty fun show, showing everyone fight, showing all the Egyptian stuff. I thought it was a pretty cool thing. I liked the hippo, I liked all the fighting and stuff. Seeing a guy with two personalities, having fun with each other, colliding. I thought it was a pretty fun show, honestly. All the stuff, Egyptian stuff, the villains. It was all pretty fun, honestly. Although it's not really peak material or anything. It's just fun, pretty good. There's not too many deep flaws. I think about the personalities interact with each other, showing somebody with two personalities. That was a kind of cool thing to dive into. All the Egyptian gods, all that. It was a pretty good movie. No, I'm at show. Next up is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Okay, I know that most people don't like this. I actually really like this movie. I know, it has a couple flaws. However, personally, I love this movie. Okay, I like it more than Shang-Chi. This movie is actually pretty fun. I admit, America Chavez was the most uninteresting character in the history of uninteresting characters. They try to make her interesting, but she just kind of fell short, in my opinion, and many others. Especially since a lot of the time she's in fight, she's just going, ah! Ah! To be fair, it kind of makes sense that they'd have someone in the middle of a fight screaming, considering this is directed by Sam Raimi, the guy who directed the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, the ones where MJ in every fight she's in is screaming, the ones that have to have screaming. So yeah, it makes sense because Sam Raimi directed this. Honestly though, forgetting America Chavez, she's still a decent plot point. She still has a couple decent moments, I think. It was nice to show her actually helping in a fight, which did kind of make it have more weight to it, considering all the times she was completely unhelpful in this movie. Honestly though, Scarlet Witch absolutely stole the show. She was amazing. Elizabeth Olsen did a great job. She was amazing in this. I also just loved Doctor Strange. Now, even though this movie did kind of feel like a big part of the attention was on America Chavez, it still felt like a Doctor Strange movie. They still showed his love interest as seen getting married, although they presented it in a way that didn't really have a whole ton of weight. To be fair, it never really does. It definitely was a sad moment, considering that these two were once involved, and the way they kind of break up in Doctor Strange. It was a pretty sad moment. However, I'm also kind of happy for the two people that married Christine and that other guy. And it was pretty fun. It was a fun Doctor Strange adventure, and it even showed Wong for a little bit. He was a fun character, although he wasn't in it a whole lot. He still didn't feel too underused. Honestly, this movie's great. It's not amazing, but it's great. A pretty great film. I know it has a couple flaws, but I just can't help but love this movie every time I watch it. It's a great movie. Okay, Thor Love and Thunder. I talked about this. When I ranked Ragnarok in my last video, I talked in great detail about how Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, those movies, they knew how to, they went into deep into comedy with this movie, and that can be done very well. Thor Ragnarok and Guardians did that very, very well. However, this movie didn't. There were many times that should have been serious throughout this movie, like when we're reminding, like when this movie trying to remind us that all of those friends from the first two movies died in Ragnarok. Quote literally says, that guy, and whoever that is. It feels, that scene, it should be sad, has so little weight, because for one thing, Korg's narrating this, and he's like a huge comedic character, a comedic lift for these, a comedic guy. But it's also because the way he's saying it, that guy, whoever that is. It just, and there's so many serious scenes that are just overshadowed by the jokes. However, there are a couple times that this movie is serious, and like, there are a couple times, like at the very end when Gore dies and he lets his daughter live, and at the beginning when we see his backstory, those two scenes, they actually did serious right. They didn't feel like the weight was lifted up. So, the balancing wasn't as terrible as it could have been, and honestly, the plot is pretty fun. It's kind of fun showing Zeus and all those guys in the bad light. And honestly, though, I actually kind of found it funny, Zeus being this, like, big fat guy. And honestly, I found that whole deal with Zeus and all those gods kind of just hilarious, honestly. The goats, they were fine. And I'm a huge comedy guy, so I liked it enough. They weren't terrible balancing. It's deeply flawed, but it's better than Eternals. I will say that. It's a fun movie. It is fun, but it has a lot of flaws. And I know people can get mad at me for not putting this in bad, but it can be fun to watch. I had fun watching this. It just has a lot of flaws. Okay, another movie that I talked deeply and why I like Black Panther so much more. Am I the only one who thinks that Shuri should never have been the main character of this movie? Am I the only one who thinks that Shuri should not have been the main character? Honestly though, I feel like Black Panther managed her so well as being a side character. She was a great side character. I loved Shuri in that movie. However, I don't know. I just don't know how much I like all this attention being on Shuri. Like, it's not that I'm sexist or anything, but I don't know. Just the way, and not just Shuri, like with that warrior woman and all that, the weird jokes, just doesn't feel the same in my opinion as like having Black Panther. They just don't feel like they really work. I don't know how to really describe it, but they just don't really work as main characters. I don't know, like they just don't really work. Especially considering how it's kind of hard to root for Shuri in this movie. In fact, they literally kind of intentionally make it downright impossible to really root for a main protagonist in this movie, because they show her kind of not being a great character. And there's also that warrior woman who was way too important and the jokes and all that, it was just whatever. And also, I do not like Ironheart. I don't like her at all. Why? Thank God that an Ironheart show isn't happening too soon, I don't think, because, come on, I would much rather just get an Eternals 2 than an Ironheart series, because I just hate Ironheart. I don't know why, I just hate her. She's just not fun to watch, honestly. It's not I'm sexist, like, I love Black Widow. In fact, I love Wanda. She was one of my favorite things about Multiverse of Madness. I just don't really like the main characters of this movie very much. Especially considering kind of like what Thor had. There are a few jokes in this movie that they made that felt completely out of place and just not fun. Like Marvel's just trying to be funny but didn't really nail it. I mean, overall. And also, I did start this movie once I just left because I was like, not that happy watching this. I mean, it's not all bad. There is some fun to be had watching this, however. I just don't really like it. I just don't think the main characters really worked as main characters in this movie. I just don't. Okay, now we got She-Hulk. Yay, another show. She-Hulk. Honestly, though, I remember when I was watching this. Now, I know a lot of people don't like this, and I admit, I was just a young little kid who really wasn't paying attention. I was just paying attention to all the action and stuff. And honestly, though, this show, looking back on it, although I didn't rewatch it, I did watch people talk about this movie as bad. Looking back on it, this show kind of sucked. I mean, I had fun with it when I first watched it. I kind of did enjoy it. I'm not even gonna lie, I kind of enjoyed it. However, looking back, I probably wouldn't enjoy it if I watched it again. Probably because I've grown a little bit. I understand the show is absolute garbage. And honestly, even when I was watching this for the first time, I kind of enjoyed the first, 5 episodes. Once they got to that finale, seriously though, how do you mess up a finale that badly? Dude, why did having She-Hulk rewrite the story, why did that make sense to anyone? Anyone? Why did anyone think, instead of She-Hulk actually facing the problems she had, they literally have her rewrite the story, they break the fourth wall, they have it on the Disney Plus, and here's a side note, when they just showed the Disney Plus screen, I generally thought that there was a glitch in the app. I kept restarting the app thinking that there was a glitch, playing the movie again, restarting the movie thinking there was a glitch, the episode. Restarting my device thinking there was a glitch. There wasn't. And I was like, what? Yeah. And also, why did anyone think having She-Hulk literally rewrite the story was a good idea? So see, it's a face problem. She just goes to Kevin and decides to rewrite the story, and also, why did they just break the fourth wall like that? They made this show feel so hollow throughout, especially all the fourth wall breaks. They made this show feel so hollow. Okay, this show is actually kind of trash. This is the worst show I talked about so far. This show just sucks. It's just a terrible show. Okay. I didn't really watch this. For one thing, I don't like war. 2, I didn't know it existed until recently. Never watched. Okay, Secret Invasion. Honestly, judging by what a lot of people say about it, and I probably did not miss out on anything. Yeah, I don't think I missed out exactly when I decided to not watch the show. First off, I didn't even know it was out for a little bit. Secondly, this show, I thought maybe I should watch it. And I realized how many people hate the show, and I was like, okay. I was like, wait a sec. No, I'm not watching the show. Because, too many people hate this. And besides, it's a show that stars Nick Fury, who was never exactly my favorite character. I was fine watching him as a side character, but I don't know if I'd really want to watch him as, a main character. I just don't know if I would really want to. But basically why, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, really. Just that. This guy's a man, so you don't have to call me sexist, but yeah. This show, I admit, I probably, although I did not watch it, considering how many people say bad things, to be completely fair, this show I didn't have it watched because I didn't watch it, never will, because everybody hates this show, and probably for good reason. But yeah, have not watched. Okay, now we have Ant-Man Quantumania. Now, remember when I told you about the free movies thing we had on our cruise? I watched this movie recently because of that. This movie was also free on that cruise on our TV, so I watched it again. So kind of nice for this tier list that I have a recent memory of this. And honestly, I know not a lot of people like this movie. Not a lot of people do. I know that. And honestly, I can admit there are a couple flaws with this movie. I'm not saying this movie's flawless. However, it's actually a pretty fun movie. I actually didn't even hate Kang. I actually liked him a lot in this movie. And well, I don't really hate the decision to just abandon the character of Kang. I don't know. Yeah, fine. I don't even really blame them, to be honest, considering how much hate this movie got. I don't really blame them. It was probably for the best. However, I didn't even hate Kang. I actually liked him. He was a nice character, I guess. I also liked all the other characters. And honestly, I actually really liked to look at the quantum realm. I liked seeing all the cool stuff. I just liked everything. The plot was pretty fun. You know, I do admit, I feel like Scott's reason for, going after Kang is he was actually helping him for the sake of his daughter. However, when he broke the deal, that was, his main reason to, go after him. He literally says, "You broke the deal," as he attacks him, which I just found so hollow from him. But I do like this movie. I did find the plot for the most part engaging, honestly. I was pretty engaged throughout all of it, where we saw us go a bit deeper into Janet's past and all that. And the crime and all that. And honestly, one very stupid complaint about this movie I just have to address before we move on. There are people saying, this movie uses too much CGI. This movie sucks, it uses too much CGI. What exactly did you guys expect? Bro, they're literally going into a universe that does not exist. We are seeing things that don't exist. Of course there's gonna have to be a lot of CGI. We're literally seeing so many things that do not exist in real life. We are seeing a whole universe that doesn't exist in real life. There's gonna be a lot of CGI, and it doesn't even look that bad. Just, please shut up. Honestly though, I admit it has flaws, but it's a pretty good movie. Pretty good. I'm putting it in. As soon as it cools down, I can talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This movie was, honestly though, first off, I loved diving into Rocket's backstory. In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, he's the main character that we don't, him and Groot, those are two real only characters that we don't get any backstory on. So I found it pretty cool that we got to see Rocket's backstory. I found it pretty depressing, but also pretty entertaining. I also like that he sees Lila again, and Lila convinces him to join the Guardians again, and to not try and die to see them. I found that pretty nice, see Lila's people. I mean, the fact that Guardians saved him anyway, and she was convincing him to go help the Guardians out. You know, and I really hope that scene wasn't just Rocket imagining, because that was a pretty heartwarming scene. Honestly, though, I really liked this movie. This movie was absolutely amazing. I loved the villain a decent amount. I liked all the characters. I liked all the jokes. This movie didn't have as much humor as the first movie, but still had a decent amount. All the actors were killing it. Really, though, everything was amazing. This movie truly is an amazing film. Amazing. I'll even put it above the two shows. It's equal with Spider-Man. Maybe a bit more than that, because I like it. Because I like Spider-Man not in bunch of shows. Amazing too it is, though. As soon as my PLSP scroll down. Okay, the Marvels. To be honest with you, I forgot a lot of this movie's plot, which probably is going to hurt it a lot, because when I watched this, a couple days after I watched it, I forgot what this movie was about. I know that she goes to these people who sing. I found that whole part incredibly stupid, and I was like, what's going on? Why is this a Marvel movie? Also, though, why anyone thought we needed Captain Marvel 2, considering how many people hated the first one. I mean, to be fair, this isn't really a Captain Marvel movie as much as it's a Marvel's movie, because it focuses on the character I know cared about. And the only character of the main three I actually cared about is Monica Rambeau. I honestly loved her in WandaVision. She was a nice character, and honestly, she was decent in this movie. She was pretty good in this movie. I did not hate her in this movie. I liked her. However, first off, I think the Kree thing, because the Captain Marvel didn't rescue, tried to destroy this Kree person's computer thing. She was doing good. The Kree person didn't understand it, so like she decided to go after Captain Marvel. I think that's the villain's sort of motivation for going after Captain Marvel's people. Okay, honestly though, the main thing about this movie is just how forgettable it is. Like, bro, honestly, there's just so much forgettable stuff in this movie. It's just, I mean, I think it does. I mean, to give it credit above, like, these movies, I actually liked the characters more than I liked, like, the characters in Wakanda Forever. I actually liked those characters. I just didn't think they worked well as main characters. I mean, Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau actually worked as a main character. So does Miss Marvel. She's literally the main character of Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. They all have experience as main characters. They work okay as main characters. I mean, the movie's not terrible, however, it's also just not that great. I don't know. To be fair, I honestly forgot a lot of the plots. I don't really know where to rank this. You know, I don't know. I guess I gotta put it in bad, because, come on, any movie that I forgot stuff. Oh, and also the stuff I remember, a lot of it's kind of stupid stuff, like that tribe that only sings. Why was that part of this movie? Also, the villain, which is so hollow to me. Yeah, I think bad is the best I can do. No words. Okay. This movie is rated R. And honestly, though, my mom didn't really let me see it. My mom didn't want me seeing this. And honestly, I didn't really want to see this myself, because apparently they say there's a lot of gore and that you'd be insane taking a kid of this. And honestly, that scared me off from watching Deadpool and Wolverine. Besides, my mom kind of didn't let me either, because I'm just a 13-year-old, okay? I don't know if I want to watch this, because I'm not a huge gore person. I don't think I really want to watch this. It's just probably a really great movie. People say it's great, and I don't really doubt them. It's probably a really good movie. However, I didn't watch it, okay? Haven't watched. I admit there's a bit too much stuff and I haven't watched, but however, I hope you liked my tier list. I really hope you did. And for the stuff that I actually ranked, do you think this was good? I think so. If you disagree with me, tell me what I should do differently in the comments. I'll read them. It'd be cool to see how you disagree with me. And who knows? You know, maybe you can do your own tier list. Just go to Tier Maker, search up MCU, you'll find some decent tier list templates. So yeah, you can do your own tier list. I really hope you enjoyed this. And if you haven't seen my video on ranking all the Marvel movies from the Infinity Saga on a tier list, click this. Click either here, maybe here. You will see that pop up. Anyway, that's all for the video. Peace.